I'm going to show you how to do a few simple edits to your alphabet photos that you might choose to enhance your overall design. So I'm using the online app Photopea that we've used before. I'm going to open a file, and I have thank you to 7th Hour. I have your alphabet photos here. I'll pick this one because it has a nice mix of color and objects in it. So the first thing that you might think about doing is cropping your image if you have a lot of extra space or want to isolate your subject more. The crop tool is located along the side, and with it you can check here on free selection. It'll let you draw a box whatever size you want. Fixed ratio, if you want it to be a square, you could type in equal numbers there, and it will put a bounding box here for you that always maintains a square shape. So that might be something that you want to consider. Let's go ahead and crop this one into a square. So I move the rectangle so that it's surrounding where I want. It's going to get rid of everything outside of that when I hit the check mark. And then you know about image adjustments. You could work with the brightness contrast or the levels or exposure to help improve your picture. But one creative thing that you might do stems back to when we did the exercises with selection tools. And for this picture, I'm thinking that I could select the area around this mug and maybe turn it black and white so that blue really pops. And that could be something that I apply to all of my photos. So there are a few ways you can do that depending on what your subject is and what the colors look like. For this one, I'm going to do quick select because there's pretty strong differences between the edges and the contrast. So when I do that, I'm going to take my mouse around. Oh, and it's selecting from the whole image here. So let me actually deselect that. And I'm going to add there. And that's showing me that it's picking up all this information. And that's way too much. So I want to use the minus feature to get rid of some of those areas. So if I bring it in here on the mug, I can see now that there's a little dotted line around most of the mug, not right here though. So I'm going to switch over to plus mode, and that will expand my selection area. And I realize it might be difficult to see, but perhaps if I come in closer here, you can tell that there's a dotted line that runs its way around the outside of the mug. Now it looks a little irregular here because it's still sampling from that overall image, but since that falls outside of our picture area, I'm not going to get too worried about it. So with this area selected, I can go to image adjustments and select black and white. And notice how it turned that whole background black and white. From there, I can play around with these color sliders, and notice when I do that, it's only affecting the area around where I've selected. So that will give you a little creative control over even the contrast. So when you get it where you like, you can hit OK. And then to save this picture, we would export as JPEG. And that'll put a version in our downloads folder. It's going to ask us like what quality do we want it to be. You can go ahead and hit maximum quality if you want to and hit save. So then that one's complete. Let me show you one other quick thing. I'll step back here a little bit. Actually, maybe I'll open another image here. Let's pull up this guitar. And another way you can work with the selection feature is to select, in this case I selected the guitar, and it did a pretty good job of catching that, except when I go up there, it's pretty similar in tone to the rest. So I might need to zoom in and make my brush a little smaller so I can do that here. And maybe if I select there, it might just give me a fit on that one. But what I wanted to show you is that you could select the opposite. So right now I have the guitar selected, and I'll show you that by going to black and white. We can see that it turned the bulk of the guitar black and white. Now that looks kind of weird, so I'm going to X out of that. But under select, if you accidentally select the wrong thing, or it's easier to select one, you can flip it by going to select inverse, and then that will select again the area around it. So now when I go to image adjustments, you can see that it's turning that outer area black and white. And again, that might be a good thing, a good way for you to increase your contrast and readability of your letters. Hope that helps.